Okay, so, oh, there. Okay, cool. Okay, thank you, Ellen, for joining me today. And okay, so today I will share with you some news related to XR. The first one is in WSJ.com, and the title is called "Tech Companies Want to Make Holograms Part of Routine of Office Life." So yeah, and this article is written by Anne-Marie Alcántara. Okay. So yeah, so pretty much in this news, it seems like companies from Google to WeWork, they want to help employers cut down on Zoom fatigue with new approach to communication, holograms for the workplace. It's very interesting that right now we use Zoom every day, and I find out there's a serious Zoom fatigue, which means that when I see the computer screen, my head feels dizzy and I couldn't do anything related to computer. I have to go out and walk and rest. And yeah, so, like the fatigue for looking at the screen too long. So I think this is a really good transition because we used to meet in person, but right now we have like at least 8 to 10 Zooms every day. So yeah, so hologram will be a really good solutions for workplace. And the first one is Alphabet, which is Google. Google revealed their project called Project Starline, an effort to create a video chat system with screens that given a participant three-dimensional depth. So it means that even though it's a video chat, but they can make it more like hologram, like a 3D. And WeWork, last month they announced a partnership with ARHT Media Inc. If you go to ARHT Media, the website, you can see it's very interesting. They kind of have some virtual events, and then with the host in the location, for example, like in Vancouver, but the guest speaker is in Toronto, right? Vancouver, Toronto. And then it seems like a magic or something. And, like two of them can talk on the stage and then, syncing real time, and the audience can, ask questions, and the hologram, the speaker can, reply it, and everything seems, like a ghost appearing on the stage, which is very cool. And it seems like WeWork is going to, because we all know that WeWork got hurt so bad during pandemic time. Yeah, a lot of, SoftBank is not investing then. And then also they kind of, had a lot of trouble with all the scam or all of those nasty stuff. And then right now WeWork, I think, because before I was a WeWork member, I ran a dedicated desk in WeWork. And during that time, yeah, I mean, I really love WeWork before pandemic time, but during pandemic, I kind of returned over all the stuff, and I didn't really, go to WeWork anymore. And then later on, I keep receiving a lot of newsletters about, doing the remote workplace and doing more like connection. Right now, I think this is a really good move because right now the workplace is more hybrid, right? You go to office a few days per week. And also, if they do this, it can really save the travel tickets for the founders to travel to another city to talk. And it seems like they are going to charge like $2,500 per if the speaker wants to, or the founder wants to appear in another city, use hologram scale, like $2,500 per one location. If you want, it's like charging multiple location, like one. For example, if I am here, I want to appear in New York at the same time, then I need to pay $2,500. Yeah, but if I want to appear simultaneously in San Francisco and New York, I need to pay double. So I think this is a very interesting stuff. And it's like before we couldn't even think of this, but now it's happening. And also Microsoft, they have Microsoft Mesh, which is known for integrates three-dimension images of people and content into compatible displays of smart glasses or device. So I think those are pretty good. And in the future, I think we can see a lot of more real, and we don't really need to stare at the screen all the time. We can see, the actual space, and the hologram will be spawning inside. I would say a small box, right? Still a screen, but it seems like, it's a box, three-dimensional box. And then, you can see like a window outside of the box, and you can see through it, and that person will show up. It might kind of help us to, diminish the Zoom fatigue. Okay, any thoughts for this news, Evan?
Yeah, definitely. It's I think there's definitely been a push to use some of the the new technology to collaborate remotely, of course. We're always limited by the type of devices that we have. So, for example, if you're going to get into a virtual kind of a meeting with somebody through like a Quest or a VR device, the thing is that the person on the other side, or both sides, would more likely have that device. So we're kind of still limited by what we have available to share these experiences. So I love that all this new technology is starting to come out where we can do holograms. So multiple people without a VR device can watch somebody kind of in 3D. I know there's a bunch of technologies that allow that. But really it comes down to the expense of that, whatever it is you're going to do. If it offsets cost, for traveling, of course, there's a lot of money spent on traveling, so people want to cut that down as much as possible. But it really does. And right now, everybody has at least an iPhone or an Android, so that common device allows everybody to kind of communicate remotely one way or the other. But I like the fact that we're thinking about changing the experience as well, so making it a little less 2D, a little more 3D, kind of making it more realistic as far as kind of a virtual face-to-face type of a thing. So it's always interesting to see how the technologies are evolving. I'm looking into the Microsoft Mesh capabilities as well. It's really it's an incredible, I guess, technology. I don't know the plans for pricing long term. That could be an issue, but every one of these companies is starting to dedicate a little more into that remote collaboration, which is really
I think before we thought like this is kind of like the magic, right? Magicians like play like, oh, I am right now from Los Angeles, in 5 seconds I will be in New York. Those are kind of like magicians doing some stage stuff, but right now it becomes reality, which is wow. And then you can simultaneously spawning in different spaces. It feels like before it's only happens in comics, right, or a movie, Marvel movie or DC movies. Some superheroes can do something, right? Right now it seems like we can do it as well. It's a little bit crazy. Cool. Okay, cool. So the next news is TechCrunch.com, and the title is called "Apple's RealityKit 2 allows developers to create 3D models for AR using iPhone photos." So pretty much, previously we kept talking about Apple, and Apple, they are right now, you can take some, I would say, like in Unity, it's probably like a skybox, right? Like a certain angles of 2D images, and you can on the 3D on a 3D object, and later on, Apple's the RealityKit 2 will help you to make a 3D model out of all of the all the photos you take, from different angles of the real world 3D objects. So yeah, and then I think this is a very good a really good stuff. And then I think in Wayfair tool, it seems like it's already using object capture to develop tools for their manufacturers. So they can create a virtual representations of their merchandise. So pretty much Wayfair, pretty much they were already using object captures to create 3D models for real world object. But I think Apple is kind of like doing it in a really high quality ways, because because if you scroll down to at the end on the tweet from if you want to see the original Twitter, you can see like the handler will be at MIKKOH. Yeah, like if you type this, you can see the person just share. He used iPhone to take some photos of a 3D object in real world, a pineapple, and then later on, if you put into Apple's object captures on a pineapple, and you can see the photogrammetry. Everything looks so real. It looks like a professional 3D modeler doing a really hard work to modeling this pineapple for a few days. Yeah, so yeah, and you can also see the shoes, right? Like you take a photo, a few photos of the 3D objects from different angles, and you put into Apple's object capture, and you will generate a pretty realistic 3D models with really good textures on top of it. So I think this is a really good tools for someone like me who couldn't even model a donut. Yeah, so I think this is definitely really good for developer. I find out that right now every tools they are trying to make everything a little simpler. I heard that one of my friend, he has been doing AR for over 20 years. So he said that before AR was so hard, you need to hand code everything. But right now it seems like, you see, like for me, I don't have any development experience. I don't have any knowledge of coding, but I can create some simple AR. So I think right now, every tool seems so easy to use. Not really easy, but it's easy enough for you to kind of spend a few months and to kind of know what to do. Yeah, so I feel like as long as you have idea and you want to learn, you can always create something. Yeah, any thoughts, Ellen, for the news?
Yeah, we were talking earlier about the ability for just the average person to create content. Because I think in the AI world or the AR world, that's actually a big problem. It's the actual content that we need to develop. So there's all these ideas out there about all these great things we could do, but the subject of content creation comes up every single time. So there needed to be a tool out there that just helps people, the average person, do it easier at least. And the complexity of making AR experiences needs to be easier as well. So what I guess I'm predicting is Apple eventually will be coming out with the glasses. I don't see them not doing that because everybody's telling them that they're going to.
Yeah,
So
right.
they're going to have to. So I think when that happens, like that's going to make the world a little more AR based. And again, there's got to be more content. There's got to be easier access to building those types of things. And Apple hasn't necessarily in the past, created a lot of tools specifically for this type of stuff until recently. But they do have to make it easy for just the average person to integrate those types of things in their life. So I think it's just another step towards that. The other interesting thing about this tool is so concerned about AI and how it's going to take over the world someday. But the reality is that all the stuff we're looking at is AI based. I mean, it's really a combination of AI and AR working together, to create this photogrammetry. So it's doing a lot better job, these days than it did in the past. But it really is just kind of that really cool technology working in the background that everybody's kind of afraid of because we don't know what it is. And I think it's awesome. I mean, there's so many things that AI does that we don't think about, but it just does a great job in making your life a little bit better. So yeah, I mean, it's great. The other thing too to watch that I've noticed, which is interesting, is Apple's, actually Pixar, but technically Apple, is the USD 3D format. Working in AR as long as I have, there's common 3D formats that we work with in Unity and some of the other applications, but USD, which is technically Pixar's format that they use, is becoming more and more of a standard these days, I'm finding. And Apple is definitely pushing that within all of their products. But also Nvidia just came out with a kind of a set of services called Omniverse, and very powerful, but it all lives around the USD format, which is the Pixar one. So I'm finding that more and more I'm seeing that format starting to become more of a standard, and it'll be interesting to see if that kind of becomes the de facto version that we use for AR content in the future as well.
Yeah. As for 3D, because I'm passionate at XR, so I have to learn some 3D in order to create. And when I was learning it, I find out there are so many files for 3D. And for example, like web AR, you need to change to another format. Yeah, and each companies they require different one and different sizes. So yeah, I mean the performance, right? You don't want to have a super high mesh, and then like when you couldn't even import it, or it will lag, or crash or something. So I find out that yeah, this is kind of like something I would say XR. The reason why not many people can get access to XR, because you see 3D, it requires 10 years to master it.
Just one part of it.
Yeah, one part of it takes 10 years. And you see development, you see 10 years. UX, UI, 10 years.
Yeah, definitely difficult, because that's just one, like you said, that's just one piece of the whole XR puzzle, like one little part of it, but it's huge, of course. And yeah, when you go into 3D, at least currently, there are just so many different formats. There's so many different variables on how you have to optimize the mesh. And if you're going to have it animated, it has to be a certain format.
Yeah, animation takes another 10 years. Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like if you like, nobody there saying that they are experts, because because XR is so big. Once you really master it in all the fields, like AI, right? ML, right? Look, there are too many stuff, and all the software is keeping updates. So I feel like everyone is really humble.
I think I mentioned that before earlier in one of our calls. When I first started out in graphics, many years ago, you had to learn 3 programs for the most part: Photoshop, maybe Illustrator, and then I used freehand in the beginning, so that tells you how far back I go. But yeah, I mean, it basically just had to know the 3 for the most part to do your entire job. And the formats of the JPEG, whatever you have to use. Even PNG wasn't big back then, right? But there was just such a limited amount of integration that you really needed to know to do a job that you could handle was very limited. But these days, when you jump into subjects like that XR, there's just a whole range of areas that you have to know about. You don't necessarily have to specialize in, but it's such a vast area that you have to kind of be aware of. It does make it very overwhelming sometimes, even if that's my job right now. But sometimes I do get overwhelmed with just the areas that we have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And know about.
Yeah, I really think that this is a big stuff and keep growing and growing. And I feel like, yeah, I'm really happy about every day learn a little bit. Yeah, right now, actually, my computer just crashed on Monday. So, before I developed like a super small like stuff in Oculus. But right now, because I reinstalled, the newest Mac software. So right now, like I couldn't really import anything inside the Oculus, and I went online, I couldn't find any answer. So it's like, holy cow, it's like you see like a little bit, one software, a little bit update, and you couldn't find the solution. So I have to figure out what should I do, and maybe, use another version of Unity and redevelop it again. So,
well,
yeah.
for troubleshooting, that's like 90% of my job is, when you develop something, you're just constantly researching, looking for errors, things don't work. But it's funny with software because when I look for an answer, I have two problems. One is I'll find an answer that's like a year old, and you got to go, well, that might not be relevant anymore because it's changed over that time. Or you come to a problem that nobody's seen yet.
Yeah, right. I couldn't find any solution. Oh shit.
So there's like a fine area there where maybe a month or so, like into it, where you get the perfect answer, maybe. But.
Yeah, and the thing is that I use 2019 Unity. I am a little afraid of updating it because I know that I couldn't watch or find any solutions.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I typically, I'll try my best because the problem right now with XR is that a lot of like OpenXR, Mixed Reality Toolkit, some of the other third-party services that we use, they don't always play well together using the most current version. So you have to kind of find that sweet spot where everything's kind of working together. And when I'm starting a project, I'll stick with that platform, like those combination of versions, till the end of the project. But I try my best to stay on the very most recent version of everything when I begin a project from the very beginning. But I don't transition unless there's just an absolute need to do it. I don't transition in between projects. Well, like during the project itself, I'll keep it whatever version it is. It depends on the project, of course, if it's a short term or a long term project. But yeah, that's also another balancing thing you have to do. So it's I really cringe when they upgrade things because it just never done.
Yeah. So I feel like, wow, like I couldn't find on Google what's the problem, and I have to figure it out. If not, then I have to watch another tutorials and rebuild it. Yeah, so there are some compatible issues, and especially for XR, they have XR toolkit, right? And it's still under preview, and which means there are a lot of bugs. So it's not easy to learn it. Yeah.
That's nice to. It's nice when the new versions come out because they add features that maybe didn't have before, or maybe fixes a certain thing you have a problem with. But at the same time, it's always going to introduce a new problem or something you didn't know about previously. So it's always a risk to do that. So like I said, I don't jump in the middle of a project, but I try to stay as current as possible.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. So another news is finance.yahoo.com, and this article is written by Tirthankar, Chakraborty. Oh, it's so hard to pronounce. But if you go to finance.yahoo.com, you can see this news. And the title of the news is called 4 Stocks to Capitalize on the Booming Virtual Reality Market. So so pretty much virtual reality, we all know it can it start booming, right? During pandemic. Actually, before it's kind of up and down. And ARs back in 2018, it's kind of exceeding VR and become invest favorites. But right now, it seems like VR. I remember during pandemic, a lot of people want to buy Oculus, and they find out there's no stock, right? They want to buy HoloLens or something. It's just like it's totally being buy out. So yeah, so people are eagerly or trying to find solutions for remote communication or collaboration. So yeah, so I think, yeah, so right now, for example, like in game, education, or, even more like enterprise, airline, or some, marketing usage. And it seems like the VR marketing is anticipated to reach $43 billion in 2028. Yeah, and then also, because of the 5G and VR will sooner or later be, growing in the global VR market. So this is a very, I would say it's growing and everything is really happening right now. And then the author suggests like there are 4 stocks. If you are interested in investing, the first one is definitely like Facebook, right? Because we all know that Facebook is the world's largest social media platform. And then you see the Quest. Quest pretty much, I would say, like the most affordable, best, everything is really good and with affordable price, right? And right now, they are doing a lot of really cool AR glass and with their wristband or smartwatch. So it's, definitely this one, it's worth investing. Another one is Apple Inc. Apple, we all know that Apple, yeah, has the, like the best hardware for computer, including interface, and they have a lot of really loyal users. So yeah, and they are going to launch their AR glass, right? So this will definitely accelerate AR or VR or XR. And yeah, so Facebook, Apple, and Qualcomm. Qualcomm, it seems like yeah, because it's design and manufacture and marketing digital wireless telecom products and services. Qualcomm is also doing some key components for VR headsets. So definitely, yeah, if you are interested in investing, Qualcomm is definitely another choice. And uh, Nvidia, and Nvidia, Nvidia. So this one is kind of the computing chips and graphic process unit, GPU. So Nvidia's, like it can really help like a VR enhance the the processing or the graphics inside VR experience. So yeah, this is definitely a promising financial as well. So yeah, so according to this article, it seems like those 4 stocks are worth investing. So yeah, so any thoughts, comments for the news?
Yeah, well, those are very, I guess, typical stocks that that have already shown a huge amount of success. But yeah, if you're referring specifically to the XR world, they all are doing a great job of like participating in the technology and the development of technology, both software and hardware. In the XR world, one that I'm mostly intrigued with out of all of those is the Nvidia one. I've been following them closely lately for a couple of reasons. For one, they've always been known for their graphics cards, for enhancing, graphics capabilities on computers. But they branched out in the last couple of years into other areas, specifically AI. They're really, really into AI technology, and they do have hardware on the AI side. Excuse me. Micro processors, kind of like the Raspberry Pi. They have a thing called Jetson, which kind of allows you to utilize IoT functions and robotics and things like that. But more recently, they've come out with this platform that helps you develop 3D collaborators as well with 3D content. It's called Omniverse, and it's like I said, it's a series of kind of different applications and functionalities that allow you to kind of do really great stuff with 3D. But in that, they also have a technology called Cloud XR, which is their kind of AR VR technology. And what's unique about that is it actually does what they call remote rendering. So all the content is rendered and processed in the server with GPUs, and then the stream of information is fed to the device. So what that does is that allows you to get super high resolution content in your VR or AR experience, as opposed to running the application locally on the device and having it do all the processing. So I find that really intriguing, because that then allows you to do a lot more, especially as 5G starts to kind of develop more and more, the ability to kind of just have the very powerful servers do all the processing and just send you a stream of the information on your glasses. Then that way your glasses can be a lot smaller, the battery can be smaller, the compute section can be smaller, and it allows you to do a lot more with smaller things. So I'm also wondering in a way if Apple's maybe take that route as well at some point with their glasses. But it's very intriguing. I think Microsoft as well has what they call remote render as well. So it's a very similar concept where on the HoloLens you can have some of the compute stuff being done on the server and just view the video feed. So yeah, very, very interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think, yeah, those are kind of like the companies that I would say, at least according to the information that we have right now, those are really promising. Yeah, so yeah, those are today's news, and thank you, Alan, for joining me today. And for me, I will keep, I don't know, like, because right now I probably will jump into another full-time position pretty soon. So yeah, so I don't even know whether I can keep doing this, but if not, then we can do, once a week and Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, and we can pick time. It's all good. Yeah, cool. Just as long as we can keep going, and whether we can do it faster or slower, it's all good as long as we are moving forward. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. And hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.